Yo guys, what is up? Max on a Borderlands 4 video, and today we're going to be going over the Bloomreaper fight, where to farm it, how to farm Bloomreaper, in terms of like some weapons that I recommend, synergies that make this fight easier, and understanding some of the fight's mechanics. We're also going to go over my opinions of this update and the boss, and then I'm also going to show you some of the new loot that it drops, so that you can know what to keep an eye out for. Hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. Let's do this. The very first thing is accessing this fight. To start the Bloomreaper quest line, or quest to go kill it, you can travel to any major faction town, like the Launchpad or Carcadia, and each of these towns have a bounty board. Now, there's a new bounty board separate from the ones that you grab vile bounties for, that can be found within these towns. You just go up to that bounty board, you'll find a quest that says, like, the Bloomreaper. You accept it, and then you're going to want to travel over to Tonnage Peel in Carcadia, go to the low-rise safe house, and then travel down to the Bloom, which after you progress through this area, you will find yourself at Bloomreaper. To actually fight Bloomreaper, you're going to need 100,000 gold, so it is a more expensive fight, and you're most likely going to die a few times while you're doing this. So I would recommend, if you want to farm this for a while, bring some gold in, and then also you can just pick up all the loot that it drops to sell. You should have no issues like sustaining this fight. So for the actual Bloomreaper fight, I'm going to kind of just like commentate over a little kill. So the first part of the fight starts with you having to break these crystals. Bloomreaper surrounds itself with these vile crystals. Now, these vile crystals are how you begin to do damage to Bloomreaper. Basically, all of these things you need to damage and break. Any weapon that has a Jacob's part will have a massive advantage. This is one of the biggest, like, kind of like what can slow you down is how quickly you kill these crystals. I personally opt for a Dark Beast, has been my favorite gun, with a shotgun dataless swap. With the Jacob's part, you could also go for like a Convergence, a Stray, anything that is like kind of like normally good mobbing weapon will help here. The Dark Beast, however, inherently pierces, so you can line up two crystals here. Oopsies, I didn't mean to skip. But you can line up these crystals, as I do here, and then shoot them. And then I'm kind of like instantly breaking both those crystals plus the Jacob's ricochets. And then as soon as all of these crystals break, you're not done. That's just the like first part of this like phase. Once those crystals are broken, they're going to be spawning the vile Ordnance that's flying out in the air. We basically like insta-killed all of them, but you're going to want to shoot those vile Ordnance. If you don't break them in time, they'll actually go back down and reform crystals. And so if those crystals reform, then you're going to have an even longer immune phase. So doing this phase as efficiently as possible is huge. Using the Jacob's Ricochet enhancement that gives you additional ricochets is also huge here. Anything that increases your clear speed is going to be massive. And once again, I personally really like the Dark Beast here. You could go for High Caliber 3 as well for some extra penetration so that you can hit all of those crystals and have all of your ricochets hitting those crystals. Now, while Bloomreaper is on this platform, he will do a slam that is indicated by these red rings that are going to go out. So there's a warning red ring, and then a warning red ring, and then a warning red ring. So there's three. And then the fourth one will boop you. So you just want to jump up into the air to avoid that. I was too focused on like gaming there. But if you're trying not to get like slammed out of the arena, you're going to count the three red rings and then jump for the fourth one. Bloomreaper also spawn like poison plants under your feet that will do damage to you. So just jumping up and around in this fight inherently will give you more survivability. Now, in order to kill him as quickly as possible, the strategy that I've found is sticky stacking prior to him going damageable. Even when he's immune, your stickies, which mainly are doing damage once they detonate, you can sticky stack prior to him becoming damageable, and then you just get basically an insta wipe on his first phase. So here my action skill ended, but I put so many stickies on him prior to it ending that we insta phased his first thing. This will bring him down to 33%. I'll show you my like build specifically for Rafa for this afterwards, but then we just get our action skill back by using a triple bypass to triple inject ourselves to instantly get our action skill back, and then you just repeat the same phase. So you sticky stack an F-ton, and then as soon as Bloomreaper gets out of that phase, then you can just wipe him. And that is how to do Bloomreaper incredibly quickly. Now, it is important to do Bloomreaper in a decent amount of time because the rewards actually from the fight scale with how quickly you kill it. So if you're killing it and getting the platinum trophy, you will just inherently get better rewards. Bloomreaper himself doesn't drop that many legendaries. I was mainly getting maybe 0 to 1 legendary a kill. However, the loot from the actual chest is really, really solid. And so that's the reason you're going to want to be doing this quicker. Now, I'm going to be having updated guides with the new class mods and also the like updated guides for best Bloomreaper kill speeds on each Vault Hunter. Right now, Rafa has been the one that I've had the most success with, but I've only tried Rafa and Harlow. Rafa giving Bullet Buddy to have infinite ammo just allows you to sticky stack really, really quickly. And here you can see some of the loot. The Platinum Trophy chest, if you get a platinum kill, I would say about 25% of the time has 2 legendary enhancements. It's like 1 out of every 4 kills I'm getting 2 legendary enhancements, which has been really, really solid. And the Rainmaker sniper that it drops is also pretty good. For the exact build that I was rocking, I was using a triple bypass with movement speed. You could go for more damage here. It's just kind of what I had. Triple bypass, super important for Rafa speed kills, simply because of the now with caffeine node. Whenever you stab yourself with this, you get action skill cooldown back. This is how we're getting our action skill instantly back after we do damage to him. So that's our setup there. I was using a Watts for dinner with Siphon and Amp. Amp doesn't really do anything for us. We're just looking for Siphons for some extra damage. You do more damage on this setup with a crit knife. I wasn't throwing one. You don't need to have one, but yeah, crit knife is technically the best in slot there if you're wanting to stack even more damage on him quicker. And then I was just using a purple Daedalus shotgun enhancement. Even on the mobbing section, the Dark Beast is Daedalus, so that's kind of helpful so that you don't have to like swap your enhancement mid-fight. You just put on the Daedalus enhancement for the Dark Beast, and then you get the Daedalus bonus for your bod as well. And so that is really nice. Technically, you'd probably want like gun damage, SMG damage instead of like gun, shotgun, or sniper, because the shotgun and sniper damage on mine don't apply to the Dark Beast, but just a little bit of like min-maxing there. For your firmware, you would technically want 3 Deadeye, 2 high caliber. I haven't gone back to town to like fix this, but that would be ideal. If you're not using the Dark Beast, high caliber 3 for the crystal phase is very nice, but the Dark Beast inherently pierces enemies, so you just don't benefit anymore from high caliber, so definitely not needed. For a skill tree, main thing that we're picking up, I showed off this build yesterday, but we're going for 5 Resiliencia to get the tons of extra damage reduction that scale from our overdrive. This allows us to just tank damage during this fight and allows us to save our rep kits for like giving action skill cooldown instead of actually really needing healing. You're pretty tanky on this setup. And then we're going Brain Dump for the extra crit chance, El Soldado, Jacques, Deadline, all these overdrive bonuses to give us just a bunch of extra damage. It's quite literally Ranger Rafa, just slightly more points into Red Tree for survivability. For the specializations I was rocking, you'd want to use Riddle You This, In the Zone, Now with Caffeine, and I Am a Gun. If you want to throw in a fish slap instead of a crit knife, you could also use CQC for the extra fire rate. I'd be a little careful with throwing a fish slap on this platform as it can damage you. And there's already so many things that can kill you. I wouldn't want another source of things to kill me. For the new class mods that you can get from this boss, the first is the Overdriver for Rafa, which reads that you deal increased ordnance and gun damage the faster you move. While Overdrive is active, this bonus is doubled. I'm going to be trying to make build guides with all of the new class mods. I just kind of want to show them off right now. I haven't had adequate playtime to tell if these are good or not. Off of initial glance, this seems okay. It does roll guaranteed movement speed, which actually does a funny thing where you can get movement speed and movement speed. So you get 40% movement speed on this. It can also roll 5 points into his skill that allows him to get a ton of bonus shock damage and crit damage after sliding, which could be pretty nice, honestly, for bossing. And this like You know, it kind of introduces a little bit more of a like damage while you move playstyle, more similar to Zane, which I definitely dig. My only concern with this class mod is it might not actually be the fastest class mod for Rafa. If you wanted to go for a speed build, the main reason for that is Devil May Care is an overdrive skill, and the Dancer scales overdrive bonuses better than anything else. So you get a ton of movement speed from this skill on the Dancer class mod, and Expedite, which is also a movement skill, also gets scaled by the Dancer, plus the extra points in Saltado. So I think actually it would be a slower movement speed, even if you got perfect rolls on both. I think you might actually end up faster on the Dancer class mod, but you're obviously scaling the damage on your movement speed on one build and not really the other. Amon's new class mod is the Lamplighter. This reads that whenever Amon critically hits with his guns, he partially restores action skill duration. While his action skill is active, he gains increased gun and melee damage every second until your action skill ends. This is actually one of the class mods that I'm personally most excited about with Amon. Amon, one of his biggest weaknesses is his cooldown on his action skill and also maintaining his action skill. It's really hard to just keep up your action skill unless you're using very specific augments or like spamming rep kits to get duration back. This should make it so that you can just play gun Amon and have your action skill constantly active, which is already a big buff. Plus, you get increased gun damage while your action skill is up. So this is one of the most promising class mods, in my opinion. I still have got to see like the full perk pool that it can roll, but very, very excited for this one. Vex's class mod is the Misericord. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Probably not. But it reads, phase daggers gain a chance to ricochet critical hits, grant a stack of misery for a duration, increasing your skill damage. Misery can stack up to 50 times. If you didn't know, Vex has a Harusbox overdrive skill that allows you to throw phase daggers, and you can roll pincushion on these to throw a bunch of them. I actually made a build quite a while ago using these with a class mod that gave 10 out of 5 into reverberations. You could use these to stack up Groundbreaker with the melee minions, and it was actually pretty good. I'm not sure if this would be better of a class mod than like getting +5 into reverberations, because this is just a crazy skill, but could enable a full like melee playstyle on Vex. I think it's gonna be pretty fun. If it'll be like UVH6 viable, I'll have to play test that. Once again, I do plan on making build guides for all of these new class mods. And Harlow's class mod is the Trooper, which reads critical hits with guns partially restore Ordnance cooldown. On Ordnance activation, gain gun damage and action skill damage for a duration. I think this one could be potentially pretty interesting. You could obviously pair this with like rocket or like minigun Ordnance, but you could also just use like things like the waterfall or the crit knife to just kind of bounce between this buff. Could be really interesting. The biggest thing that I'm excited for about with this class mod, the Trooper, is it rolls +5 into Meltdown, which gives your critical hits 80% bonus radiation damage, which is kind of insane, obviously, because Harlow already has the Nuclear Winter synergy with Group Study and Excited State, which means all of your shots critically hit. So these were buffed to now be true crits, plus now all those crits would be dealing 80% bonus radiation damage. If you did put this on, for example, an Infinicrit Harlow build, would be pretty nice for bossing. The big thing that you would need to go fix is like the reason we're using Biorobot is for sustained reaction, so we can upkeep our Halo. Definitely going to be fun one to mess around with. But the ability to roll +5 Meltdown is definitely very interesting on that class mod. For weapons, there's two. The first is the Rainmaker. This thing is freaking sick. It does good damage. Its perk pool seems really high, meaning that it can roll Daedalus, it can roll Stickies, it can roll Elemental, it can roll Jacobs, and it's a guaranteed drop, so it's going to be relatively easier to farm. If you can hit Platinum on Bloomreaper, this thing's like effect seems to be that it is a chance to not consume ammo. So like, I'm going to start pulling the trigger here, and you can see few seconds spent on 29. Didn't get lucky at the end there, but it does seem like you've got a basic chance to not consume ammo. I think on any high fire rate builds, Infinicrit Harlow, Ranger Rafa, like Watt Witch Vex. Honestly, most of our builds have gone to like high fire rate. But for Torg sticky stacking, if you could get like Torg on this plus Daedalus shotgun, could be kind of insane. It's got high base damage. It's got crit damage roll. Definitely something that could be potentially really quickly integrated into a fair bit of builds. So that's looking really nice. The other gun is the Mantra shotgun. This one is really sick. Now, this shoots fists. It shoots Amara's fist. When you hit the shoot button, a fist like comes out on the enemy or on the ground, and just a swinging punch animation. It does melee damage, so it's like a face puncher. The perk pool on this also seems really open. I've been getting pretty unlucky, so I haven't seen anything crazy, but I've heard it can roll with like Ripper. I've heard it can roll Jacobs. Ricocheting melee damage sounds sick. It also can roll in fire elements, and seems like it can roll all of the elements. I'm not totally sure about that, but I've gotten in cryo, shock, corrosive, and fire. I just haven't seen it in rad yet. And I think it's going to be really, really fun to make some cool melee builds, particularly on Amon. I'm going to try to get a fire one of this and put it on an Amon build with all of his action skills, and melee damage could be really, really cool. The new shield, unless it's got some special effect that I haven't seen yet. Once again, all of these weapons I haven't like tested yet fully. I just wanted to get this video out showcasing what the new loot is. It's called the Undershield. It has exoskeleton on armor segment break, grants overshield. I think this is incredibly lame. There's so many ways to get overshield on your characters. You can get overshield parts, so you could just get overshield on a shield that doesn't normally get overshield by like Siphon, for example. So the main thing of this shield just giving you overshield seems really weak. Not really sure why you would put this on, to be honest, at the moment. Definitely weird loot from a raid boss. The new Ordnance is the Urchin. This is a TDR kind of like C4-like grenade. When you detonate it, it explodes like an Urchin. It sends out like spikes that go and can bounce and ricochet and hit enemies. Seems to be potential maybe for a build. I'd have to test if the spikes deal like gun damage or not, to see if you could do any sort of like weird interactions with it. Off of like initial testing, seemed like nothing crazy, but I wasn't using a grenade build. I was just throwing them on like a gun damage build, and didn't really notice anything too cool happening. But they do explode like an Urchin, send out projectiles and ricochets kind of everywhere. Guys, that's gonna do it for the video. I originally had another like 10-minute section talking about my opinions on the state of the endgame and this new raid boss, and if I think it's good and all that. And I'm just gonna splice that into a separate video, because otherwise this video would literally be like 30 minutes long, which is kind of crazy. Overall, I think the fight is good. I like it. It's challenging. However, I think the difficulty comes from the wrong reasons, and I think they could have done a lot better in terms of the immune phases and the amount of time that you're actually spent fighting the boss versus just fighting immune phases and waiting on immune phases. But I'll have like full details on that in a future video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Peace.